Zed Run. Today we have Stanley Studios, or Stanley, the number one artist in Zed, and a co-founder of the Pony Club. How are you doing tonight, Stanley?
Doing pretty good. Doing pretty good on this nice Sunday evening.
Happy to have you here, man. Been a long
Thanks.
time coming.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so just to kick things off, we talked about this a little bit before we went live, but I've always been fascinated, and I have a very, very small collection comparatively. But you've got a bunch of those pops behind you. I've got two. I've got the Childs, and I've got a Mandalorian, and then I've got a Batman. You have quite what looks to be the pop collection over there. Where did that come from? Wow. Oh wow. Where did that come from? How did that come about? What's the current status of that?
So let me fix my camera here. Back when I very first got into Funko Pops, I was at a Walmart and I randomly seen one with like a clearance sticker on it. It was like $2. I was like, I'll just get it just because it looks cool. And it was cheap. And I got it and I looked it up, and the one that I had was kind of worth well more than what I paid for it, but the box was kind of jacked up. So it just kind of like intrigued me that people were paying more than what you would pay more in the store. You know, just any type of flipper mentality. I was like, okay, let's see what we can make. And just it kind of turned into a small addiction. And like the ones that are up here are probably my favorite ones.
What is your favorite currently?
These are the Sons of Anarchy pops right here. There's four. Yeah, there's four in the line, five in the line, but four characters. And I had there's like a variant. If you guys know the show, Jax Teller, there's like a variant version of him. He's like in his like biker outfit with like glasses on and shit. It looks pretty sweet. And I actually had they're called prototypes. So it's like the print mold of the actual pop. I had the print mold for that one too for a while. Yeah.
Wow. That's incredible.
They're fun.
I like that. I like that. And so you kind of alluded to the fact that pops got you into at least NFTs a little bit. How did that happen?
Well, for me, I always like collecting things, but I hate taking up room. Like they just take up a lot of space. So when I kind of found out what NFTs were more outside of just once I kind of seen what Top Shot was, I never really collected it, but I knew what it was, and it made sense to me. I was like, okay, you know, why spend this money on this pack that if the card's jacked up, you have no value? Why spend money sending a card off for a full year to get it graded for it to come back to make money? Like all these things never made sense to me to begin with in that field. So I was like, okay, you know, established serial numbers, which are always unique. You know, you don't have to worry about degrading quality of a card. You don't really lose anything unless, you know, someone loses their account per se. So I don't know. Those types of things really turned me on about the NFTs.
So what NFTs have you gotten into? Like, what was your first one? Was it Top Shot? Was it something else? What are you into besides Zed?
The first.
Sorry, don't mean to cut you off, but before I just got to step away for a quick second. I'll be right back. But keep going.
Okay. The first NFT that I actually owned was a Zed horse, I do believe. And then after that, I bought some, like, I don't even know, I can't even tell you what it was. I'd have to like look it up. It was like some like llama or some, I can't even tell you, some stupid shit. But it had like same concept as like the Crypto Kitties, and it went nowhere. But I only had bought one, so thankfully. And then, you know, since then, just all the profile pictures, right? You know, like everybody does.
Yeah, well, if I get a profile picture, the project's gonna turn to crap, or it's gonna be a rug pull.
Right? It's rough out here. It's rough out there, man. Like the ones that you're like, yeah, this is it. Like, this is a great one. ends up being bad. Like my favorite one was like, it's never good when people lose money, but like the whole Appymon thing.
Okay,
I don't know if you know that project,
I do.
but
I do.
like it screamed solid, right?
Yeah.
It really did. Like the amount that they were giving back, uh actually selling thing, like it completed its sellout, even though it was like a FOMO ramp, right? It looked really cool, had a sweet concept, etc. And then all of a sudden it's just like nothing. And now they're trying to build the project back up, but
Yeah, Mandalorian just said in the chat that the Afimon just relaunched.
yeah. They the guy that's running it and the guys that are or gals that are heading the project, they seem like they got it together. So I still have all of mine. So I'm in it for the long haul, really, obviously, because didn't really get a chance to sell too much. I did make a good sale during the project when it was on fire, but other than that, I still have all my eggs and stuff. So I'm hoping it turns out to be, something worth actually holding on to.
The one that tore me up, though, I went for Misfit University. I
Oh,
actually liked the artwork because it was facing the opposite direction of every other profile picture.
yeah.
And then this thing called Hash Demons. I like Hash Demons was great, and then it was a total rug pull, like a total rug pull.
I never seen that one or heard about it.
But Hash Demons.
Yeah.
All right, remember Bulls on the Block?
Yeah.
Remember the day Bulls on the Block meant to gas prices went up like a ridiculous amount?
Okay.
Because Hash Demons launched at 0.013 at the same exact time as Bulls on the Block. And so they had to push their launch back because everybody who was in the know was buying Hash Demons, and then like we're doing like real crazy stuff like selling them at 0.0666.
Yeah.
And so like that's a nice little come up, but it never got that much higher. It was supposed to have like a utility and a game behind it, but yep, that was when we found out about the rug pull. And then I bought Lucky Manekis, and that didn't do nothing as well. So could have got a gutter cat during that time.
Yeah.
What is your biggest draw into buying into an NFT? I know this is a little off topic from Zed, but I'm genuinely curious.
To buy something outside of Zed, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, like what draws you into a project? What gets you excited?
Ooh, he fell.
Oh no, we lost Stanley.
He should come right back. Well, for me,
Caffeine break.
now it's the utility.
Okay.
I know that doesn't mean anything anymore, I guess, because
Sorry about that.
No worries.
the non-utility projects, I guess, are what's selling out. And so I have no clue. Like, I'm just trying to stick with Zed and Splinterlands.
So what was your question? Sorry if I canceled
Well,
out.
like what draws you into an NFT project, even if it isn't Zed?
I would say a lot of it has to do with the team that's building it. While the space is so new, you can still look into the team, and I think it's a huge turnoff if you can't look into the team. So that's kind of where I start my main gauge, and then I think it's like a social experiment right now as well, to where there's a lot of people that are genuine in the NFT space, but then there's a lot of disingenuous people as well. So being able to, I don't know, read the room a little bit sometimes helps. Maybe never overextending yourself. Early on, I feel like I put my bets on a lot of safer picks where space moves so fast. So 2 weeks is honestly like a month or two. So holding on to something for even 2 weeks has proven to be very good. Sometimes
That's an
people,
eternity.
yeah, like, but 2 weeks turns something into 10 times what it was, and then you're like, well, maybe I'll hold on for another 10, and then next thing you know, it's 50 times, and then 100 times. That's the way the space works. So it's always so tough to let go of things. and that's why I kind of stopped buying stuff, because I hate having to sell. I don't ever want to sell. I'm like, it can go up more, but realistically, the stuff can't go up that much. There's we're still early, and I don't believe. I believe the amount of new money that's yet to see the space. It just means that there's a lot of the same money being kind of spent around right now by a lot of the same major wallets and a lot of these other projects. So that's another thing. Just finding projects that don't smell weird. You go into the Discord, it seems genuine, not too crazy, not too lax. I like the sweet spot, but you can never tell. You never know. Some of these things, some of these projects that make 0 cents mint and go to 30 ETH, and you're just like, well, okay, So you really can't, in my opinion, you can't really gauge every single one, but there are some that I think you could hedge yourself with for sure.
I like that. And I think like doing your own research and what are your criteria to getting into a project are really important. I just joined into a kind of crypto investing group, and they have these seminars. They outlined one of like, here are some things you should look at when getting into a crypto. And I feel like the conversation's very similar for NFTs. It's like, know the team, take a look at the Discord. What are they promising? How many people are in the Discord? How big is their social presence? And it's like all these things you think about. It's like, yeah, okay, no brainer. But at the same time, it's like, oh yeah, like you've got to check these things out. Like this should be part of everyone's due diligence.
FOMO is very real, right? So, you see 5 people talking about it, and then they're like, gas is right and price is right, and you're just like, fuck it, I'm gonna do it. And then next thing you know, you're holding on to it, and the other person that told you about it, they already sold theirs, and you're just like, all right.
For sure. Well, so, go ahead, Golden Glove.
I was gonna say, well, you're one of the giants in the Zed community, and probably like the most well-known artist. Is there anybody that you look up to in the Zed community?
Well, I do appreciate the words, because I definitely don't see myself as that. I was just another guy here, but I honestly respect everybody on the Pony Plug very well. I think highly of those guys. I'm a big fan of what Joe does at Zombie Racing. I feel like he doesn't get a lot of credit for really what he's kind of built over there. Naturally, I think it has a lot to do with just more and more people coming in. There's a lot of Zed to digest, right? So sometimes a platform itself doesn't always get to make it in front of someone's eyes. So that's why I know me and Zook wanted to partner up with him early on, and kind of bridge that relationship to make sure Joe's getting all the promotion that he needs, because the website that he's building and what he has in store and the vision for tournaments is real big. So anything that we can do to kind of further that along is what we were, the plan all along with him.
Okay. As an artist, this might be outside of the thing in the Zed community. This is one of the reasons that I said that you're one of the giants in the community, is because as an artist in the Zed community, I only really I know of you, and I know of Darkside Supercoach, who's in the chat as well. Outside of that, as an artist in the NFT space, are there any particular artists that you might look up to?
As far like in general, like in the NFT space in general, oh yeah, for sure. If you've kind of taken a look at my Twitter feed, I support artists all the time. I'd say my favorite artist is probably an artist named Kid 8. He does a lot of, right now he's doing a lot of 3D artwork. He's got a project called the G-Vols, where it's a generative project from his original project called the D-Vols. He's done a lot of artwork which early on in my design career, I worked with a lot of musicians. So I've known of him for a very long time before I even got into the NFT space. And once I got here, I did my collecting, yada yada, and then I came across him and I was like, a lot of his art looked very familiar. Kind of when you're a designer, you can kind of pick out styles and little bits in people's artwork that you can just kind of say, okay, that's their art. And I had seen, I can't remember exactly what it was, but I was on Twitter one day and I just seen something that reminded me of him. And I'm like, this looks like this dude. Like, and he's done a lot of mixtape covers, album covers, single covers for hip hop artists, rap artists, just anybody in the like mid 2000s that was popular coming out of Atlanta. He did all their stuff. So I was a huge fan of him. So
That's awesome.
yeah, I would say that would be the guy for me.
All right.
So can we talk a little bit more about your design background? And like, where have you always been into design, graphics? Has it always been digital? Have you done other mediums?
I've been doing graphic design probably for probably going on 13 years, I would say. Yeah, probably about 13
Wow.
years.
That's impressive.
It mostly it started as just a hobby. Something saw something online that I liked. I'm like, we can attempt this and at least try it. I was always a creative person. I like doing artwork, like drawing and stuff like that. But it never, even to this day, I don't necessarily like to like hand draw. So digital drawing's kind of taking things to the next level. But I wasn't always fortunate enough to like own anything that could kind of produce that, right? You have to do it the old school way, scan it or draw it, scan it in, then go about your business like an illustrator, stuff like that. So I have been picking up drawing a lot more recently, but yeah, I mean, I mostly used to work with musicians and like venues and stuff like that. They need promotion, ad mats and stuff like that. So that's mostly what I did for a long time.
Nice.
And it was fun. I love music, so it kept me occupied.
Love it. Love it.
And so there's also a lot of ways getting back into Zed, because I know that's what a lot of people are here for as
Yeah.
well. Because getting back into Zed, there's a lot of different ways to approach how you play the game. Do you find yourself more of a racer or more of a breeder? Because I know I do watch your personal streams as well, and like you're always breeding, and I think you sell the offsprings to Zook, or you keep them. But you're also known as the Pacer Palace, and you have been breeding down further than most people, because most people stop at elite or exclusive. Most people aren't experimenting in the cross era. But where do you find yourself, or how do you find yourself playing the game more, as a breeder or a racer, or a combination of both?
Right now, I like breeding more than racing. I think racing still has a whole lot to go. It doesn't feel as complete. Whereas breeding, there's not much to like what could be added to it. You can't. There's mom, dad, baby, right? You can't really add to it. You can develop, criteria and gather data and stuff like that. But it is what it is. Whereas I think racing is yet to be finalized, like by a very large margin. So it's hard for me to get excited about racing now. If I was in the different a different alignment with the game, I might race more. But for me, racing is just to test out my horses more than anything, because I'm here for a long time. So as long as Zed's here, I'm here. So assumingly we'll be all here for a long time. I'm not too worried about being known as a racer, but I have to have some good racers.
So speaking of racers in your stable, Stanley's Pacer Palace. Where did that come from?
I'm not sure. Honestly, we in the Pony Plug, like just private chat that we have, we just honestly talk so much shit back and forth that I think I probably said it in there one day and it stuck. But
Because go ahead.
oh, I was just gonna say, and yeah, I'm really one of the only ones that are not scared to like have a pacer or shoot for a pacer. If you've they're not obviously they're not all going to be great, but I also think that they're not all great because we just haven't developed like any consistency down there yet, right? So the game's got a long time to go, and hopefully in the future, be like, man, that guy, he was on to something, right?
Yeah, I personally think that one of the reasons that they slowed down your breeding, as far as like the mares and the stallions from 7 and 2 to 3 and 1, was because I think we probably would have cracked breeding already with this
Yeah.
amount of time. Because there's a lot of theories, but there's not enough horses for there to be for everybody to completely test out their entire theories with bloodlines or inbreeding or breeding ability or base ability horses and all of that stuff. Like, 'cause there are people in the Zed community that damn near have an unlimited supply of ETH to breed.
True.
And so we haven't really. We're still scratching at the surface. Um, and I think like on you're at the forefront to me at least, because I remember running into midsummer and getting pissed. And like you're breathing, and I was like, damn, I accidentally got the horse, got in the race with this fucking crap. It's killing me.
she's she's something special. She's really fast. She's a major U-shaped horse. You know, she'll keep herself in class 5.
So
But
I want to talk to you about that. Two pacers that come to mind. Obviously, Katherine Johnson, who I feel is the most widely known and recognized pacer on the platform right now, and then Z40 Nakamoto pacer, which is incredible. Like all of those Nakamoto breeds going into a single horse, like that is just that's a beautiful thing. But then, I mean, both of you brought up Midsummer. That is a Z. For those of you who aren't familiar, that is a Z94 Buterin pacer that has a 13% win rate, a 20% place rate, and a 26% show rate over 472 races. When odds were a thing, it had an average odds of 9.91. How, like, did you breed that horse? Did you buy that horse? How did you come into this horse? Because that to me is one of the most beautiful things to exist on the platform. A Z94 Buterin that has a 13% win rate and a 26% show with sub 10 odds. That is insane. And profitable for that matter too.
she's profitable, and I will say this: if you want to get like really technical on the profit, basically what I say with her is I'm going to put her in all these big dollar races because she's profitable. She's not super profitable in like the the 15s, and even some of the 10s can get a little crazy because she's so U-shapey. If I took her back down to $5 races, her win percentage goes up, right? If you look at her average race like entry, I think it's like just under $7 right now, but that's because I've only been doing high dollar races. But she's been taking a lot of losses, and it's okay. I like when she wins and people are like, oh, oh shit, what is this horse? And they talk about her in general. So the horse, I had purchased her. Someone in the community had bred with my horse Pony Plug when the breeding minimum, when there was like no breeding minimum really. and those crosses and everything lower just made sense. You're willing to breed, right? Why not take a stab at it? I think to breed with Pony Plug when Midsummer was born was somewhere between $50 and $80.
Wow.
And yeah, and I think I paid I think I paid a little over an ETH for her, or just at an ETH. Probably way more than anybody on the platform would ever pay for a horse of that stature, and that's okay because she's always going to be kind of cemented in history as a really good horse on the platform. She hasn't really bred too well, so that's kind of a bummer. But again, she's not what I would say is a project of consistency. She's more like if you view Pony Plug and his offspring distribution, it's not terrible, right? There's some okay horses in there, but the price to breed with a Zabo is just it's so crazy, and like from cross to Genesis, it's not that big of a difference. So I honestly don't expect many people to want to tag on that horse, because of the price. You can get probably a more consistent horse at Genesis, and who am I to say you're wrong for wanting to do that, right? So if you look at Pony Plug's kids, it literally, he had 17 children up until Zed made the change, and he's had zero since then. So it's kind of unfortunate because then we don't get to see horses like Midsummer as frequent. But I still think it'll happen over time.
Absolutely wild. Just a beautiful, fun horse. I was pulling it up, throwing it in my own tool. And yeah, like that, your point about the entry fees, absolutely huge. But like without entry fees alone, your 25 plus first through third finish at multiple distances for a Z94 Buterin is just insane.
Very good horse.
She's fun.
Very good horse. It's a terror inside of Class 5. It's a
Terror.
Terror. Because I've been racing in Class 5 for the majority of my Zed career. Not by choice. I wanted to get up, but then
I like Class 5.
Wanted to get up. Huh?
I like Class 5.
Yeah, I liked Class 5 until people really learned to start down classing and keeping their horses in Class 5. It was very competitive. I'm happy for the Zed tournament because I looked at LBJ Gold a little bit earlier. It's going to be about 2 or 3 weeks before we see LBJ Goat down in Class 4 and Class 5. Because he's at 161 Class 1 points at the moment, that, if you didn't know. So...
No, yeah, I seen. I can't remember. Was it Josh Ong? He tweeted that it's Zed's plan to get us all to race up in class points, and then they're going to change point distribution, so it's going to be a lot harder to down class. And I was like, yeah, I mean, I'm here for that conspiracy, and it, you know what? It would serve everybody right. And again, the thing that we got to remember is because a lot of people say, change the game, arbitrage won't be good. They've been killing it the whole time, just so everybody knows. So when it changes, they're just going to continue to do that. They're playing the game at a very professional level, which not a lot of people are, including myself. And like I said, basically everybody here, no offense to anybody, they're just on a different level, right? Analytically, and the ability to go get certain horses early on is something that you got to know what you're looking for. That's why I kind of said earlier when we brought up the breeding racing question, like I would love to deep dive into it, but the person I am, if I like how racing was down for a week, I'm sure, I don't know if they were vocal, but I am a very vocal person. If I made my money racing and stuff like that, and racing was down for a week, I'd be like, Zed would be on fire. So that's why I choose not to get deep into racing just yet.
Yeah, people aren't giving they're not giving arbitrage the credit if they don't think that if no matter what changes are going to come, he's going to be on top. I think because I personally think he's a genius when it comes to how the platform works, and he takes his time and thinks about exactly how he's going to plot his course just for a week, like on week by week basis. You know, you can't be the top stable or in the top five stable earnings every single week from before fatigue to when we had like 2 day wait times
Yeah.
to all of that. Going back to the first Pony Plug tournament, which is when he really came to the light in my brain at least, because I didn't know he was, but I knew LBJ Goat. I think he was like second or third the first Pony Plug tournament. Then he gets Princess of Power and a bunch of other horses, and like just he's got his foot on the entire Zed community's neck as far as racing goes.
Yeah.
Very smart man.
I was doing a little digging last night into their stable because I'm a firm believer that if you want to be good, you just go see what the best is doing. That's literally for anything in life. Because if you can do it as good as the best, or that's what you're striving to be, or eventually you're better than the best at certain things or in certain fields, that's what you're shooting for, right? So, I just went and looked at their stable, and if you put their stable into Know Your Horses and Stack Knocks, you see the sauce. It's very easy to see what you need to do in the game. Use it to your advantage while you're breeding. Don't undersell a horse. That that was one thing I was looking through last night the most, and I was talking to my partner about that. Was that I think people, especially newer people, they get a horse that has 25 races and it's doing great, and they head to General or they head to Pony Plug Discord or anything Twitter yada yada, and they say hey, what's the horse worth? What's it valuable? You got to be able to look at your horse. So just I would say use your third party resources wisely. They're there for a reason, and
Agreed.
I see a lot of really good horses going for cheap, but that's only because the stats, with air quotes, the stats show that they're on par with another horse, but that horse just over the course of maybe 75 more races is not going to be the same horse, right?
Yes. That's why I tried to make it a point a couple months ago when they were saying the thing about exclusives. There not being many exclusives over the what was it, 12% win over like 100 races or something like that. And I took two different horses, and then I should have started. I sold them for basically at cost. I made a little bit of profit, and then I was only racing them in between $2 and $5. And one of the guys that bought one of the horses started throwing them in $25 races and completely ruined his ROI. He won a couple, but he completely ruined the ROI on the horse because all he had to do was just keep racing them at $5, maybe $10 prize points, and he could have kept the same average. So yeah, it's
Mm-hmm.
knowing what you got, but it's also like you said, using the tools and then slowly like seeing where your horse can perform um, at a price point where you're not going to lose money because you got the for average horses or above average horses, you have a point where you can turn a small profit or you could break even. And so you could break even at a higher price point. Like you could have a horse that's only a $2 racer, and you'll be profitable, but it'll take you like a thousand races to recoup your investment.
Exactly.
Or you can race him at $5 and he just break even. And like there's horses at $5, $10 or whatever, different price points. And it's just discovering the price point and how often you want to be sitting in front of your computer waiting for your distance to pop up.
Exactly.
And that's a big part of it too. Is just the patience of it.
Yeah.
If I'm buying a horse, half the battle is what class should it be raced in? Where is it currently? And then what is the right fee for it? And how long am I going to have to wait for that fee? Is that fee alone going to get me the profit? Or is that fee going to pump up the stats enough to make this appear to be a better racer, which it very well could be, to make it worth the money.
Yes.
It's an interesting game to play. Horse valuation. It's not very straightforward.
Yes, that is true. Um, and so I'm gonna ask Stanley, what's your main motivation, and are you having fun trying to turn a profit? Or are you just playing to have fun?
Um, I I would say that I definitely play to have fun. I have it in the back of my head, roughly. Obviously, like know your horses shows your profits and losses and whatnot. So as far as racing goes, I know where I'm at. I'm not a profitable racer. If I just stopped racing all my new breeds and stuff, right, and those types of things, I know I could eventually turn profit with the horses I know that can profit. So that alone tells me that I'm comfortable with just what's happening in the game right now. I enjoy learning. Um, and running griffins and getting that data and testing new theories and stuff like that out more than just trying to make money, right? I also don't like selling horses, so it's tough to make money that way. I don't want to give away. I've sold some good horses. I've sold some good breeders. Those things hurt. Uh, you can't get those ones back per se without spending money. The dog shit ones that sit in your stable, they're worth nothing. And if you needed to go get something like that, you could any day. But to pick up a really good racer or a really good breeder, they're just it's just not that easy, right? So I changed my mindset around every other week, right? And like how I want to play the game, what I think's important, what's not. Should we make money this week? Are we mad at Zed this week? All these things come into play, right? It's important to have fun. So if you're not having fun, the one thing I would recommend is learn how to have fun, because this game is that. It's fun. Don't take it too seriously. You're going to lose, right? Literally only one horse can win out of 12. So get over it. A lot of my horses are U-shaped horses, and even more so, they're like class 5 U-shaped horses. So that means they love to finish 11th too. So, you just have fun, and that's what I'm doing. We do pony plug. I would say that's my main motivation right now. As far as Zed goes, to continue what we've been doing on there. All the good stuff, continue growing the community. We want to get more informative for people. I know we're kind of like the hangout race spot type thing. Yeah, I mean, pony plug and just being a good person is always my motivation.
So if Pony Plug is your big motivation right now, what is your favorite part of Pony Plug?
I'd say just the community more than anything. There's certain people that specifically that contribute to our community that make it more than worth it. And then as I mentioned earlier, the guys that are in Pony Plug, or even the people that have been a part of Pony Plug in the past, like those are the people that you sit down and do it all for, because you can do it if you want to just do it for yourself. You do it for yourself. I can stream solo, but it's not fun, right? So more so just the community and the team, right?
Yeah. Yes. That's what was I gonna say? Who is your favorite Because the Pony Plug, I remember when y'all were streaming 3 days a week and stuff. With what Tish, Doughboy, yourself, Lucky Jack, and Zook, and Lacey a lot at times. Who's your favorite person to argue with on the Pony Plug? Because there tends to be some arguments that go back and forth.
Um, the the Discord is where it's at. If you guys could if everybody could just have a glimpse into, some people get screenshots from the private Discord, but that's where all the, it's almost like we've grown as brothers over the past, you know, I, we started out way back when, you know, I'd say probably, I think like sometime in like late April. I'd have to even look at when the first stream was, but when we started, it was very loose. We didn't know what we were doing. Then we moved forward, still loose, not know what we're doing. And, you know, fast forward to today, probably still loose, not knowing what we're doing. But we have a mission in mind. We know what we're doing. We know what we bring to the table. We love to have fun more than anything. My favorite person to argue with, it's honestly a collective thing. Okay. It's a collective thing. Like, it's almost like certain things need to happen. Like, Zook needs to say something crazy. I need to hear Doughboy's response first, and then like I'll argue with Zook about it for like 20 minutes, and then Tish will come in and say, "Oh, that was funny," and then we'll all make fun of Tish. It's a weird thing. It's a weird dynamic that we have. But I'd say Zook's probably I think me and Zook going back and forth on the streams the best, because we know how to get each other to say things. We just know how to get each other to talk, basically.
Yeah.
So you say Zook. I've heard Zook. When I first started talking to him, I called him Zook because of Illinois' old football coach Ron Zook. Spelled the same way, but I heard everyone else saying Zook, so then I was like, "Oh shit, I'm fucking this up." Like, what is it? Can you settle this? Do we need to have him back on?
Yeah, I think you might
calling him Zook.
You can call him whatever you want. I give you permission for that.
Done. That's good enough for me. Sold.
But yeah, I just Zook. I say Zooks. I don't like all the U sound. So
these are Midwesterners, though. Even though Ohio's Midwest to me, I don't know. I think it's Midwest, and so
yeah, we're Midwest.
Well, from the old coach, I say Zook as well. So
yes, it's Zook. That's what it is. Anybody that says otherwise, including himself, wrong.
I love it.
Oh wow. See, what I used to really, really like about the Pony Plug is that the arguments that used to go back and forth. Like, I remember Zook used to talk so much junk about Ducky to Doofy, and then Doofy would go off stream, and then all of a sudden Doofy would be in a race and then smoke Zook in the next race that he entered. And he'd be like, "What the fuck? I thought he left. I thought he got offline." And then he'd be in the chat laughing his ass off, which is something that was funny to me.
Yeah, I've always loved the camaraderie that everybody in the group has had. We've always been very playful and supportive of each other, right? So I've never had a dull moment, right? I think a lot of times when you have a group of people, it's very different. Once you go over two people, opinions and feelings and those types of things start to become a real factor. But I would say that, you know, all in all, we've all handled it very well. A lot of times there's been some ups, there's been a lot of downs, but like I said, that's where I think we've just kind of grown more as a cohesive group or a family, right? And where, you know, at the end of the day, we know we're all here for the same thing, to have fun with Zed and to hopefully make some money in the long run. If you're making money now, you're killing it, right? I think if you're making money right now, you're doing the right thing, and just kind of hang in there despite how rough it is. I know a couple people have kind of left the platform here recently, or kind of scaled back. I think that's a mistake. It's just my personal opinion. Yeah, you do have to take your money when you can take your money, though, so that's respectable. What's Dan Chan talking about? The the maiden tournament.
He's not talking. He's not talking junk about the maiden tournament per se. He basically
No,
said he's gonna win it.
he's all right.
He said, don't have time.
How many entries are you doing, Dan Shan? How many are you gonna put in?
We'll see in a second, but yeah, he's
Oh,
talking.
he was saying he was the best, implying that, and now he's backing down and saying I'm fairly confident. If you say you're the best, keep going with it. Don't back down. Keep going with it.
Okay.
You
All
may as
five
well
for your
win.
team.
You might
All
win, but keep going.
Okay.
Woo.
I haven't decided if I'm gonna do all five of my own. I was thinking about maybe reserving a few spots for like some collaborative breeds. We'll see.
I like the confidence, though. I like the confidence.
Well, I did too until he backed down and just said he was fairly confident, nothing else. Like, come on, if you're gonna have the balls, keep them going. Don't back down. Not after like 2 minutes. Come on, Dan Shin, you're better than that. You talk
Yeah.
shit all day. Keep it going.
I don't know.
Well,
I-
there you go. This won't even be close. So he said this won't even be close. I'll say, we shall see. Watch it come from like a no-name pacer like 150
Right?
or something that wins the maiden.
I want to not that I think it'll be good. I think it'll be good content. Not that I think the horse will probably be good, but I wanted to breed Katherine Johnson with like a Z1 or a Z2 Genesis.
Oh,
So
my own breeding theory is really close to exactly what you just said.
yeah, I based on her current children, I'm not confident, but I think the upswing to Z1 would probably give me a lot, especially if I pick a good daddy, right? So it's one of my things. I'm kind of sad because my best, and I didn't know it was all going to line up like this because Joe wasn't for sure on the dates and stuff just yet. But my favorite breeding mare literally resets one day into the actual tournament. So I'm like, like it hurts because the last one that I did breed, it ended up being really good. So it would have been a great one for this tournament. I just didn't know the dates. So we got to try to make some magic happen.
Yes.
What are the big things you want to see changed or done differently in Zed?
Ooh, great question.
I would love to see the breeding minimums revisited more than anything. I think that's important to the game in many ways, especially if you want there to always, at the end of the day, like let's just say hypothetically, hear me out, right? If Zed was cruising for whatever reason, like it was pumping like it was a month ago or so, like when, I don't know, Genesis were flying off the shelves a month and a half ago ish. I know I was buying a lot and a lot of other people were buying too. If let's just say we kept that momentum through this last month and there wasn't like some downtime and fatigue change and this and this and this and this and this, I think that there would be more appetite for more horses and the floor would be a lot higher than it is now. And I think that's something to keep in mind because the best way to judge the platform or to make decisions on the platform is to make them in light of you wanting to be in your destination, in my opinion. So if we're doing things that are kind of like intermediate and interim fixes and stuff like that, I'm not in agreement with those. Like kind of the shifts in stamina and this, that, and the other, kind of maybe pseudo fix U shapes and class points and stuff like that. I'm not a fan of that type of stuff. So I said breeding minimums most importantly for me, and then creating more classes. I think we need more than double than what we have now.
I've been a proponent of double the classes, like at least 10 classes for a while. Dan Chan, who's in the chat, me and him also were on double the classes, and we were talking about altering the prize pools or something like that. But from just doing talks with different people, they were against changing the prize pool. I don't know. I don't have all the fixes. I'm a designer as well, um, but I do
Yeah,
that there are more classes that need to be here, or maybe just an elo system.
Dan Shan said get rid of them completely. I thought he was talking about breeding minimums. I would love to see breeding minimums be gone completely, personally. Just there should be no minimum. I should be able to list my horse for whatever I believe it is. Now, I know it's kind of risky, but I think you can kind of give like a an average this will be on Zed for them to program that type of shit. It's not on me as a consumer, but I can give them good ideas, right? You can give kind of like this horse is typically studded for X amount of dollars or X amount of ETH, right? But there, in my opinion, there should be no minimums at all. And I would almost same thing with Dan Chan say. I would almost be in agreement with there being no classes either. You should know your competition, maybe some kind of rating of some sort, but that's where you get the prize pools to really matter the most, in my opinion. If I can sneak out, $15-$20 pots, $25 pots in class 4 and 5 with my horses that spike. That's great for me, but it might not be great for someone else. But maybe they just shouldn't be racing for that money to begin with anyway, right? And my horse should be racing overall, and it helps, I think, bridge the gap to the competition more than anything, because I think that's everybody's biggest gripe is that horses aren't on the same competitive playing field from race to race, which is understandable. But it also has to do with the gate selection and stuff like that. I don't like that people can kind of snipe that out. So I know Zed's mentioned the automation of the gates here soon, hopefully. So we'll see how that all plays. That again, it kind of alludes back to my main thing about racing and how it's not in its final stage. So it's just so tough to be invested.
Yes, I was talking to people on Discord because I'm very active as well in different people's Discords, and people were like, um, "You're always talking about they need to expand the class or do an elo system," and I said yes, but exactly what you just alluded to. I think I want to see the weather implemented as soon as possible, because that a class change isn't it's gonna affect the market, but not like weather will. Because who would have thought like a month ago, like when they implemented stamina and fatigue, like the two
Mm-hmm.
changes, that the market would have like had that massive drop that it had, and that's based off, in my opinion, how often you could race your horse at 100% abilities. I think the market should recover without Zed doing anything else. If they just left racing how it is, even with these free races for the tournaments. Like, I like free racing and not winning or losing. Just playing the game, I like it personally. I don't know
Yeah,
other people like doing that, but
I truly wish there was a way for Zed to differentiate it just as a whole, like that. My the racing stats, even looking on the Zed website, I know third parties we can change it around and stuff like that. I really wish Zed could just separate the two paid race statistics on the website. But I definitely agree with that too. Right now, it's the closest thing we have to like private races slash, having like a real, uh, you know, a real like racing stable, right? Where you go out and you train your horses every day, you breed, you see what's new, what you got, how's it stack up against your best horses and stuff like that. We don't have that luxury, but I think that's mostly due to them trying to limit, crack and breeding more than anything. I think that's the most important thing for them as the developers, to limit breeding in a sense, limit how we discover things and stuff like that. So I think there's a lot of stuff that they're going to do or try to implement, and that's like you said with the weather, it's going to be who knows when, but it has to, it has to matter somehow, like just I obviously like LBJ Goat probably isn't just going to be like, well, I hate all the weather and just be bad, right? It's not. I don't think that's going to happen, but also who knows? Like, so and it always alludes to that's why it's so hard for me to be invested because I'm a long-term investor. While I would love to buy racers and race as much as possible, I'm not just going to have the dedication to sit at my computer and enter races all day long. I'm just not going to do that. So, it's more or less hoping Zed kind of gives us something to kind of come up. Axes, their kind of loan system is really nice. An automated entry schedule type thing would be really nice. There's a lot of different things that could work here, and I'm hopeful.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of problems with trying to do the rental system on the Ethereum network or on the Polygon network. Because somebody's going to have to come up with a really creative contract for all the people in the chat. If you know anybody who's familiar with Solidity, tell them to work with contracts and try to do something private, create a renting system, because we can, as a community, if you look at what Zombie's doing with tournaments and how he's able to track everything,
Yeah,
I know there's somebody in the community who's
I agree.
and could probably put a third party
I
rental
think
system out.
I think the biggest fear, and I think it's a legit fear, is building anything, because Zed has the ability to just do it themselves. That's the nicest way to put it, right? So I could only imagine. I can only imagine myself as like a creative. That'd be like me, trying to build my own Zed skins and try to get them into the game, right?
That'd be wild.
It would be wild, but at the same time, I know their capabilities. I know what they're doing. I know the money that they want to make. All these different things that I can only imagine. If I put myself in those same shoes of a developer, there's a lot of stuff you can build, but man, if the loan system's one of those, like, probably so big and probably very intricate that you'd be heartbroken if Zed was like, all right, we'll do it.
Well, you could also, if it works, you could probably just, here, I've already got it developed and sell it right to Zed. Because
True.
I don't know if they would buy it or per se, but
Yeah.
if somebody was able to put together a great contract, I think Zed would contact them and then try to buy it off of them or whatnot, which would be good for that in particular person. You know. Okay.
So while we're kind of on topic of, at least in chat a little bit, we mentioned this as well, but gate preference. Do you have any specific superstitions when it comes to Zed, or any specific rituals? That might be a better question.
So far for tournaments, if they're not overlapping, I'm not a big racer to begin with. I believe in my horses, but I also know they can't win every race. So before big tournaments or maybe big race days, Friday for pony plovers, just anything like in particular like that, I'll kind of like park my horses. I used to like certain gates, not so much anymore. So other than that, naming horses, I kind of take. It depends on the horse. I have a few lines that I'm kind of developing where their names are very similar and stuff like that. But outside of that, nothing too crazy that I can think of, at least.
No doubt.
I have to start looking for those names.
Yeah. Everybody knows I like to do crazy names. I like to have something to make people laugh when they look for it. Like, oh my god.
Well, I've done a lot of like video game characters. Just all my horses from one particular horse after a certain time. They're all named after like mom and dad, but it's because I believe those horses are going to be, good for the ecosystem, and eventually, when the game gets big and stuff like that, we'll look back, and I just don't want there to be a lot of random names on some of my kind of more important horses to my brand. I guess is the easiest way to put it.
No doubt.
I'm scrolling through your list here. I noticed you got a Samus from Metroid
Yeah,
locked up.
I'm really praying that we get the ability to burn a horse for the name, or a transfer
Right?
of the name. Like
Burn the
that's
herd.
yeah, that's I guess if you say like was like one thing that like it doesn't matter really to the game development, but something that like if I could be picky that I would want, that would be one of those things, because I have a lot of great names that the horses just aren't good. And like when you feel like you have a great name, like you're like, this horse is going to be good, but deep down in your right above your asshole, you have that feeling that you just like, Zed's gonna fuck me and this horse is gonna be terrible. You go run it and it's just dog shit, 36 odds, and you're just like, oh my god, this name was perfect and this horse is terrible. So I'm hoping that we eventually get a way to change over the name, or just burn the horse for the name type thing. You burn it, it's out of the like database of names, and you can re-get the name type thing.
Yeah, I feel like the better name I have, that's almost a guarantee of the worst the horse is
Yes.
going to be. 100%.
Well, Gold War is a great name.
It is. It is.
It's a great name. You like hit the lottery. You got a great name and a great horse.
And the other one that I've had was well, I mean, I don't know if it's great, but I like it a lot. That I thought was clever, and I didn't come up with it myself. I got it from a friend. Was Colt 1911
Yes, I like
for a Colt. Ended up giving that away, and he's currently 13% win, 35% show. I'll take it over 90 races. I'll take it.
That's like
Makes me proud.
like Lucky Jack named the horse MJ Magic, who Dan Chan has at the moment.
Yeah, Dan, we
Man,
gotta work out a deal, man.
I've been
We
trying
gotta
to
work
get
out
the
a
money
deal.
up
I
to
just
buy
want
the
it because of
horse
the
and
name.
give it to you.
Dan, let's work something out.
I've been trying to get the money up to get that horse for you, but man, I've been having bad luck racing them, just lingering around $100 before I was making a little bit of money, Then I blew it on breeding again. I went with the XYZ theory on breeding with base ability, and it turned out not to be so well for me. Uh, yeah, so it's just yeah, those names. I like the idea that was proposed by Lucky Jack: burn the herd, put 1,000 horses in the race if they could do that, and then the winner gets to stay, and the other ones get burnt. That would be great. But
I just want the name.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's
Dan, I
it.
just want the MJ horses. Who named their horse? Oh, I just looked up MJ. I know your horses. Winks, are you in chat? Is this your
Winks is in
horse?
chat.
Mauve like MJ? Is that? Did you do that? It's a class 5, 0% class, 0 class points. Yeah, that sounds about right. Oh, I want all the MJ horses.
And then I always wanted Go Golden Go. I know I'm never gonna have the money to get that, but I used to watch that horse, and it's a great horse, and I want that horse just because Go Golden Glow or Go. Like
Yeah,
I stayed away from anything Golden Glow related.
yeah. I normally don't go after. I'm not. I so far I haven't seen a horse where I'm like, I just want that horse because of the name. It's for me. It's always been just performance more than anything. Uh, but name matters a lot. I take naming seriously, but I'll never. So far, I haven't wanted to buy a horse, even one where it's like, man, I want that name, and you look it up, you're like, okay, like you're like, they got the name before me, fuck them. Like,
Oh man, Hillside homie who's not here, who's always in your chat and the Sean vs. All. We call him the king of naming. He come up with a name
So good.
on, and it's
So
great.
good.
At the I've let the chat name a few of my horses. One somebody it was a handful of months ago. It was a pink horse, and I was like, all right, we're gonna run a Griffin. It's like, what's the name? Someone in chat, they're like, Pink in the Middle. Named it Pink in the Middle. It went out and won. It hasn't ran since that race, but I was like, all right, like, is it like kind of like that MJ says, like, the better the name, the worse it's gonna be. I let chat name us some goofy ass name, it goes out and wins. It's like, all right,
Mm. Well, pink in the middle. That's a steak.
it's a steak.
Exactly, it's a steak.
It's a great steak. If, if you want to go, if you want to keep it appropriate, and so, oh man, let me
Zed retro. All right.
go ahead, MJ.
So Stanley, is there anything? I mean, I don't know if we're quite wrapped up yet. Do you have any last questions? We're right around the hour mark.
Okay.
Anything else you'd like to ask Golden Glow before we kind of wrap things up with Stanley here?
Were you asking if I had any more questions?
Sorry, asking Golden Glow if he had any last questions.
Sorry,
My bad.
yeah, you
Clarifying
threw me
that.
off.
My bad. That's on me.
Have you been keeping up with the actual Zed tournament and who's currently in the lead? And what do you think? Because we still have another week left of the tournament. What do you think? There's a strategy. What would be your best strategy going forward for racing in this tournament? And have you kept up with the people who are sitting at the top of the leaderboard?
I've been taking a couple looks here and there. I didn't race much today, as I did during the week. I was racing for the Pony Plug tournament, and then I got about half my races. So far, I've raced I think four horses for the Zed tournament. I think one of them sitting at like 50-60%, the other one's at like 60 or 70% place, which is really nice. So I feel like I'm on the track with a couple of those. Some of these horses, they're just so good. I think a lot of it's just going to be, if you did the same exact tournament and the same exact thing another, exactly next week, I think that the results right now, as they set, could honestly just be completely different because that's how Zed is. So I think it's important to not hang our hats too much on the first one. Just like breeding, just like racing a horse, you don't judge a horse on one race. You don't judge a horse on one breed. I don't believe we can judge horses on one tournament or even a stable on one tournament. Now, there are some stables that have and horses that have, performed in the Pony Plug tournaments and Zombies tournaments, and I know there's a couple other community ones out there that have ran that a couple people have been a part of. So those horses, I think we can kind of judge right now. The LBJ goats. I think Urban Cadet's going to be up there. We'll start seeing a lot of horses that we know, horses from Rorca. A bunch of these stables, we'll start seeing their main go-getters up there. So the one thing I can say now is if you're racing now, just do your best to pick your races. There's no reason to go race up against some monster. You really got nothing to prove. I mean, if you do, go get in a $50 race, right? I see. For me personally, I'm just not going to go enter not even my best horse against in a free race that every horse has double-digit wins. It seems silly to me. So to me, that's my best advice.
Yeah. I will say, do a real quick thing. I think this in the this it goes back to arbitrage, man. He's got four horses in the top tens at three horses in the top 10 at three different distances, or two different distances. But this horse, Jelly Fragment, 47% win and 90% place. Woo!
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Saber Trust, who's in the lead of at the marathoner, not the mid runners, but the marathoner and the sprinter, 50% win and 91% place, and LBJ Goats at 30% win and 80% place in second. So, whew, I
Yeah.
expect to see King Beaver in the third spot in the marathoner, but man,
Like I
them
said,
those
I think it's one of those things where you just it's the flip of the coin. It's what day was ran. Because I've seen LBJ have bad days. You know, not they don't come often, but there's like I said, if you want to be the best, you'll watch who's the best, and it's as far as income through racing goes. There's one clear winner so far, so that's who I look to kind of gauge what to do, what not to do, if I'm on the right track to certain things on certain horses, right? Especially if they come knocking, you know, if they come say, "Hey, what's that horse about?" I'm like, "You don't worry about it. You just keep doing you." And thank you for letting me know that the horse is good.
mm, that's a smart thing. I think just analyzing the tournament really fast before we start wrapping things up. I This is my personal opinion, but I almost think arbitrage might have messed up by taking LBJ Goat and Princess of Power up that far because those horses won't win the tournament because the way the format goes in the I think it's the third round or the second round where they have to start racing at their down class distances when Zed takes over and auto races your horses, and so those down class distances are going to be brutal.
I think one thing I thought that too, but I would say look into it a step further. I would say Princess of Power. The last time I looked at her charts, if I remember correctly, is she more does have like a straight down button where LBJ Goat is kind of more U shaped through everything, but like I said, they just really know they figured out where to put him and they know what horses take him to 12th on those lower races. Like if you just go, it's a beauty thing to look, but if you can filter through all their stuff, you can filter through on the 1000, 1200 for LBJ Goat and look at their specific head-to-head matchups versus some horses, and it's kind of unreal how many they've raced against certain horses at 250, but those horses always seem to win. One horse in particular is my horse LeBlanc. When I've just rate anytime they're in a race together, LBJ will get last. So like it's like they were telling me a long time. And if you just go look through their, like I said, look through their race history, you can kind of see it. So LBJ Goat, I think, is more U-shapey in those other distances. So I think he's going to be the most interesting one out of the ones that we know from their stable.
Mm-hmm.
But I think over this next week you'll see more just consistent horses running from their stable, and those will be the ones that probably be more scared about. I'm interested too to see what happens though in the finals, like what actually prevails. Like we can say one thing, but we don't know until it happens.
What funnel do you guys think will be most successful in this tournament?
Mid runner.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say that too. I'd say mid runner too. Just because I think on a loose, like you know, just me kind of going through my head about horses I've looked at, I'd say more mid runners have a nicer base ability to run either way, left and right of that 1600. So I'd say so, probably in there too.
I
And
like
on the
that. I like that.
leaderboard, mid runner's more. To me, it's looking at the mid runner. it's way more competitive as well. Like I think Jumbo, who's a horse owned by which is Infermo of Catch Me Riding Derby, might have one of the biggest shots to win the race. I'd be interested to see what Doofy does with Ducky, because she's close to a mid runner, but she's more of a sprinter according to the profile. But I'd be interested to see what happens with some of the bigger name horses that we know of that could run at a bunch of distances.
I think the hard part for those Class 1 horses is just you have to make it, right?
Races.
Like that. I think that's I still believe that's why Class 5 and Class 4 horses just had a severe advantage. LBJ, to get to where he's at, that horse didn't have to race every single race in Class 1, right? Not that it needs to, clearly, but it also helps too, right? If you know you're going to drop kick Class 1 horses, then you're definitely not scared of going off the top of the cage in Class 5 on top of somebody. Like, so, they're not. And same thing with Princess of Power, right? They took it to Class 5 before this for a reason, right? So, they know what they're doing. I think it's. I think it's going to be a lot harder for the Class 1 horses that started the tournament in Class 1 to actually qualify. So that's just me maybe thinking out of my ass a little bit, but maybe somebody kind of do some numbers on that. But I really think it's going to be a lot harder for those horses to qualify.
I agree. How about you, MJ?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think the understanding the floor and the ceiling of your horse is the most important thing of this tournament, both from a like points per race perspective and also class perspective. So if you went all the way down to Class 5 and you can race successfully at Class 2, then you've got so much room to work with that it really doesn't matter how many points you get per race. But the fact of the matter is that is such a small fraction of horses.
Yeah.
So, and I guess a little shameless plug, but like I threw out 2 TikToks today about strategy around this and like how to maximize and optimize for this in dealing with your horses depending on class, depending on how they're racing. And this is for the first tournament, this is a very hard tournament to participate in for the masses. Zed says they want to have value for every horse. This excludes a lot of horses from being successful.
Oh, for sure.
And next week after the tournament's over, I'll reveal a hack, and hopefully Zed, because I completely found an exploit in the system, but that's like where somebody could stack themselves to at least get to day 2. But I'll reveal that later on. People could probably figure it out. It isn't like some genius move or something, but there's other things they're gonna have to do, like to prevent cheating as well.
Yeah, I think they I would assume that anybody creating a tournament knows that people are going to try to game a tournament even more so than the rules would allow. So I'm not too worried about anybody kind of trying to rope the okie doke on us, right? So because at the end of the day, there's too many. I call them Zed detectives. So you ain't getting past those motherfuckers, man. You just ain't. You just simply are not. So let me just go ahead and tell everybody in the chat, you will not get past the Zed detective. Let me tell you.
Yeah, but if it's not against the rules, it doesn't matter.
The way I see it is, and they've kind of showed it, is they make the rules.
That is true.
So, I think that's another thing I know that's the mindset we have on Pony Plug, right? Is that if something comes up that was unexpected or not accounted for, then we make the rule for it, right? So same thing, like, and you're saying, well, if someone's like, well, it wasn't the rules, I'm like, let's just say setting someone up to die, technically speaking, is a murder. And there's ways to bend those rules, but we know it ain't right? So same thing with someone trying to cheat the game. We know it ain't right, and like I said, I keep my pitchfork real sharp right next to me, so I hope everybody does too.
Oh, and, okay. MJ, do you have anything left? And did anybody in the chat want to ask Stanley anything?
I've got nothing left. I'm good. I think that this was awesome, man. Thank you for coming on. I really
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
Yes,
No
very
problem.
appreciated. And so, right before we go off, I want to thank everybody who showed up. And if I can't see the subscribers or anything anymore, getting errors over here. But thank everybody for showing up. When's the next Pony Plug tournament from Bot Lady?
I know we're gonna start our free NFT tournaments back up in just a couple. Probably this upcoming week or two. We don't want to interfere with the Zed stuff too much because people are running their horses for a reason. So we'll see where everything is right after the tournament's over. I think.
And then thank you for that answer. And also want to let everybody knows the zombie tournament, the zombie racing circuit tokens will be burnt August 24th. Or I said August, excuse me, October 24th. So you have until the 24th before you can no longer get
A week.
season 1 tokens. So make sure if you want to get a part, become a part of the ZRC, you go mint your tokens. It's important that you do it before the 24th because you won't be able to get season 1 anymore. And everybody who owns season 1 tokens automatically gets season 2 tokens. So
Huge.
keep that in mind. But thanks everybody for showing up. If there's any new subscribers, I'd like to thank you as well. For followers, I'd like to thank you as well. Make sure you check out MJ. I put his socials in. Um, Stanley can be found on the Pony Plug Tuesday and Thursday, and
Friday.
he also streams on his own. I don't know if he chatted in here, but it's the same exact name that you can see displayed, Stanley Studios. He does stream during
Mm-hmm.
the days. Um, Make sure you go hit the subscribe button or follow button on his page. I'll be starting to stream in 2 weeks, not this week, but next week. I'll be starting to stream probably in the morning as well.
Can't wait.
So if you follow
Can't
me, you
wait.
follow me. If you don't, you don't. You're here for the ZNN, but I'll be doing a lot of the content as well.
Super
Um,
excited for that.
and so, thanks everybody for showing up.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, everyone.